Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to wait a couple seconds to allow other attendees to continue to filter in to the webinar. And like I always like to say, take a look at our starting slide, get psyched for today's chat. We have a really great speaker today, and I know I'm really excited. I hope you're excited too, Maria.
Yay, yes.
All right, so my name is Jenna Quinn, and it's my pleasure as the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement to welcome you all to this 49er Industry Chat. Before we start, just a couple of housekeeping items. We just need to inform everyone that this session is being recorded. And so what that means for you is that it's going to be available on demand at our website at www.csulb.edu/alumni. So you can go back and watch this again. You can send it to a friend, send it to a colleague, anyone you might think would get some good information out of today's chat. Since this is a webinar format, we encourage all of you to use the Q&A box to submit any questions that you have for our guest speaker today. You don't have to wait until the end. Just go ahead and submit it right throughout, and we'll get those questions asked. So with that, I am happy to welcome our guest speaker today, Maria Allgood. Hi, Maria.
Hi there.
Yeah.
Go 49ers. Woo!
So just really quick, read your bio, Maria. Maria Allgood graduated Magna Cum Laude in 1994 from CSULB in interior design and received the Outstanding Graduate Award from her department. She started her design career in 1992 while still a student and worked for several design companies, including quick service restaurants, where she designed over 125 QSR and created design manual standards for KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. In 1996, Maria founded Allgood Interiors, Inc., and is focused on every aspect of design from concept to installation for restaurants across Southern California. Maria is also a part-time instructor at Orange Coast College and the University of Tennessee. Welcome, Maria.
Welcome. Wow. That sounds like a lot, but
that is one impressive bio there, I gotta say, and it's condensed. I mean, I think that those are the things that I cherry picked, but I know that you've had just a really great career.
Well, I definitely enjoyed the journey, starting from my whole college journey into how it just spilled into real life. Was such really quite an extraordinary dream come true. So yay.
Well, hey, let's dive into that then, and I'll start off with let's start off with a little bit of background about you before CSULB. What was your life like, and what led you to come to the beach?
Very interesting, because I actually married my high school sweetheart. So we've been together 41 years. Imagine that. So when I graduated from high school, I actually moved over to Arizona with him. He finished up his education at ASU, and I went to a trade school. My actually first love was fashion design, and I couldn't afford FITM. And so I went a different route with fashion merchandising, got into retail, and we visited Huntington Beach on our year wedding anniversary. I'm a Cali girl. I'm from California my whole life. So I went from Palm Springs area to Arizona. You can imagine, I don't want to be in hot desert. So we moved to and we went to our wedding anniversary 1 year in Huntington Beach, and within 1 month we transferred there. So that's where we ended up in South, Orange County area for 30 years. But in that process, I was, working retail and managing clothing stores, and I ended up derailing myself by answering an ad in a newspaper about acting, of all things. And I started to actually go to the junior college to take some acting classes, which ended up, honestly, because of my love for learning, and then I was taking another class and then another class, and then I found myself gearing towards design. I actually was going to go to Cal State Long Beach as a communications major. And in the last minute, I changed my mind. I spent another year at the junior college, and did all the prereqs for interior design. So that's how it was. Not the quick journey. I'm not the prep for college my whole life for 4 years straight. I landed into that, and it took, I probably had enough units for 2 degrees because I just love taking classes, and I went from this to this and I landed. So I often say to people, like, what is your passion, and enjoy the journey. I know everyone's so quick to get out and do it fast and they're stressed, but I was lucky enough to just get my feet wet. I have to be honest, and there's 5 girls in my family, and I am the only one that graduated from college. So, I wasn't came from a family of like, that was the norm. My husband, he grew up with a family of educators. So of course that was his journey. So everyone's got their journey. And because I took my time and I marinated into that and thoughtfully found my way into design, it was the best thing ever, because 30 years later, I'm still doing what I love. Had I gone for maybe that first choice, it probably wouldn't have been so awesome. So I sometimes say, enjoy the journey and don't be in such a hurry.
Yeah, that's some really good advice.
Yes.
So when you were at CSULB, right? Like, and you made that switch, right? You're originally going to come for the one thing, but then you came for interior design.
Yes.
What was your student experience like at CSULB? I mean,
can I tell you,
what was it like?
Loved every second of it, because in my department is very small. And so it was like being in a fraternity or sorority, because you literally graduate with the same core group of people throughout your semester. To this day, I am still best friends with 3 of my college buddies. One of Angie and I, we've been friends forever. We have designed multiple restaurants. She became my partner for 4 years. Then COVID hit, and then her husband to relocate. And so she had to get a full-time job with an architect. It was unfortunate, but I hire her all the time to do freelance work. My friend Tracy, we've been friends for literally 35 years. We do design jobs together. My friend Gail's my dearest friend ever. And I can't tell you, I met her in 92. We talk every other day. So my experience, I work right now at Orange Coast College, and the head of the department, Charlene, and I went to college together. We rocked it. We loved it. We talk about it all the time. She was like, Maria was this and that, but we had that experience. I can't untake that away. It was so meaningful because we got to sit there and enjoy that design process, be creative together, getting involved in like the design, ASID on campus, which is American Society of Interior Designers. I became part of that. And so that even knits us closer together. So my experience was like, this is why I love being in college. I love teaching college students. I actually perpetually want to just stay there. I'm considering getting my master's. Just my husband's like, oh my gosh, I just took a class this semester, took one last semester. I love constantly learning. So that's just me. I'm a big geek when it comes to school, I'm a continual learner.
Hey, it pays off, right? I mean,
it is. And I just it makes me feel young when I'm with this young energy, and I'm a goofball. So I love to share my passions with students too. And honestly, right now I'm doing more teaching than I am designing. That is my goal, to kind of pull away and continue giving back, passing the torch.
Yeah. And, making sure that all that you have and all that you've experienced, moves on. Well, so part of your student experience, and I also wonder if this is applicable to some of the students that you teach, but part of your student experience was that you started working while you were still a student, right?
Yes.
So what was that like, and how did you manage that? Where was that? What was that like?
That is an interesting story, because it was one of the instructors at Cal State Long Beach. Her name was Anne. I'll never forget her. I could see her face now. And I remember the day she said this. She's got short, chopped, blonde hair. And she actually passed away during my college experience a couple of years later of cancer, God bless her. But she was a kind of cantankerous woman, very interesting lady. And we were actually in the middle of a recession when I went to school, much like a little bit like now, I have to be honest, in design. My husband's a finance broker. He does loans. I do design. These are not recession-proof industries, I will tell you. I've lived through them twice, in 74 or 94 and '08, and hey. But not to be bleak, but she said, you will be lucky if 1% of you get a job when you graduate. Can you imagine that? I was like, what? That's not me. Oh no. And I'm a little older than the most of the students. I'm married. I got married at 20, but I kind of, little, I was kind of the mommy, and I'm like, no way, that's not happening. Okay, no. And so when I got involved in the local design ASID campus, it's American Society for Interior Designers. So I strongly recommend any student, whatever your field is, there's probably some specialty networking group that is, attached to that. In ours, we have several different design clubs. So in that one, I actually, ASID in their bylaws have to mentor students and young designers. And I knew that. That's part of their kind of mission statement. So I went through the phone book, and I don't know if you guys know what those are, but they're thick and they're yellow. And I opened up this interior designers, and I looked under ASID members, and I started cold calling. And I told designers, I will work for you for free for 30 days. Back then, you didn't have to pay interns, so you could do that. So this is where I call my talk like the reward in giving. So I put myself out there. They were napping me up, sure, but my second designer, her name was Leslie Barra. She ended up becoming my mentor. She ended up hiring me within 1 week. And I worked at Design Consultants for 3 years, all through my college. And 8 years later, she and I ended up as business partners moving into a killer design studio in Huntington Beach overlooking the ocean. And she worked Design Consultants. I worked Allgood Interiors. So even those relationships stuck that during my college experience, that later on we would become my mentor. We would become kind of business partners or share the same design space. And so that's how I got that job, is my desperation to not be unemployed when I graduated, because my husband and I purchased a new house and it was being built and I needed to pay a mortgage. It was practical. So that's how that whole started, but it only enhanced my design. I would bring wallpaper books to old students, all the old fabric book, everything, all the materials. So it made their designs better. She taught me everything like accounting and the business portion. She was not one of those people that withheld information. She's a lot like me. That's why I'm probably like I am. I share it. So she was sharing with me her things that she could have held to herself. And like some of the other designers did, they feel threatened or whatever. Instead, she had the opposite, very giving, open. And that's my philosophy too. When my business partner came in, I just showed her all the ropes, everything, we hold nothing back, and so that's kind of how I am with my students. I share with them how it really is, real experiences. So I don't teach them anything I don't do myself.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I do want to go back to that that whole, going into the field during a recession and being a student during a recession. And you mentioned that when you were headed out, your financial recession, and then 2008. So it's not a recession-proof industry.
No.
How, but you're still here, right?
I am still here. I had to reimagine how to make money. And so how I did that.
How did you handle that? Yeah.
I will tell you, it's so ironic you should say this, because I just got a call from another architect. What happens in this industry, what I've noticed, is that if you can humble yourself and decide that, okay, I don't need to be Allgood Interiors at all times, I could be hired out. And so I started to get calls from other design firms of other connections I'd made throughout the years. And they said hey, Maria, would you be willing to work on this job? I'll subcontract you out. You'll be under our umbrella, under our, and I did this with architects, Studio McCormick, so they themselves might not be in a position to hire another full-time person either. So what they'll do is they'll do a job-to-job basis, maybe sub do a subcontract. So therefore, they just have a limited contract. They don't have to be tied into a full-time person. So it's a win-win for me. So I can contribute my design, skills and get paid. And then they can get their job done without overcommitting to a whole nother full-time person. So I learned how to work with architects, market myself with other design firms, and put myself out there. And one of the key things too was another networking group that we can talk about later that changed my whole career. And it started at CSULB, is I applied for a scholarship at Cal State Long Beach. I applied for 22 scholarships, 22.
That's the way to do it, right?
I got one. And I'm like, what do they want, man? I have a 4.0, but the one changed my entire life. It's just like that conversation with Anne changed my direction. That one scholarship at Cal State Long Beach changed my entire life. Because
so what scholarship was it?
It's called NEWH, Network of Executive Women in Hospitality. I didn't even know what it meant. I didn't even care. If they were offering $2,000 and I needed the money. I was a waitress and working in the design. I mean, my husband was like, we were not making the money. We were, working, waiting and doing design, school full-time, what you do, right, to get by. But that actual scholarship, Network of Executive Women in Hospitality, they are a group of people in the hospitality industry, which means hospitality design. And hospitality is hotels, restaurants, restaurant management, hotel management, interior design, architecture, anything that has to do with hospitality design. And so when I won that, I had to write an essay. I showed I had need. And in that moment, I got embraced by that group. You become a member as a student for free. And to this day, NEWH offers free student memberships for students. Their number one goal is to raise money for scholarships for new upcoming designers and people in the hospitality industry, hotel management, all that. So when I got embraced by that group, it changed the trajectory of me wanting to go into medical design to restaurant design and hotel design. And that's what launched my specialty. And so I specialize mainly in restaurant hotels, but I've been doing a lot more offices and actually medical facilities now. And that is ironic, but it changed everything. And then once I graduated, I realized that this scholarship is like nowhere to be found. No one knows about it. How come no one came to the interior design department and talked about it? Like it was literally stuck in the back of a pile of papers in the admin office. And so I ended up becoming the board of director of scholarship and going to all the different junior colleges and universities and talking to their design departments and sharing the scholarship. So now Orange Coast College, Saddleback College, Fullerton, all the junior colleges and universities know about it. We've grown so much, and being part of NEWH as a actual professional has opened up 1,000 doors to me, because that's where I get to meet architects and other design firms. And then, do you guys need help? So you see how when you're giving back, this is why I call it the rewards of giving back. Every time I gave back, says it's not a foolish person to give what they cannot keep in order to gain what they cannot lose. And if I give my time, I can't keep my time. If I give it away and my skills, and I gain something that's irreplaceable. And then even through that process, I go around sharing to all the students so excited about NEWH and hospitality design. And then I end up getting offered a job to teach at a junior college. Just because they go, would you be interested in teaching hospitality design? I'm like, sure. So that's how I got my career in junior colleges. I was at Saddleback for 14 years, OCC on and off for over 20 years. And now I'm landed back there. And I just got a gig at Tennessee University, which is so funny, online hybrid. So it's just, you never know. You just don't know what's going to happen. That's just how.
It sounds like that was just so crazy impactful for you. And
that's why I tie everything back to Cal State Long Beach and the opportunities that opened up.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that was your experience, and I do hope that students watching will kind of mirror that, right? Like that those resources are out there. So actually, a question just came through. Sounds like NEWH was a great resource. Any suggestions for students or recent grads who want to get involved and other resources they can take advantage of in the industry too?
So is it for the industry of interior design? Or is that person?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, well, I actually could share my screen because I did have pulled up NEWH website in case anybody wants to go on it. You can actually sign up for free. I would do that no matter what. If you're in interior design, whether it's hospitality or not, NEWH is like all design because every person that's in the industry belongs to that group. Every wall covering manufacturer, carpeting. And so you also have a resources of design resources through them. So if you want me to share my screen, I can pull it. I have the website, but if not, just go to NEWH.
Alana will jump it in the chat. So
yeah. We can put NEWH.org free for students, and they have chapters for different areas. I won the LA chapter scholarship, but now I belong to Orange County chapter. So it's very local. We do fun stuff every month and the students get to go for free. Like we'll go to a winery, restaurant, they'll have a great guest speaker, or get the opportunity to go to a swanky, cool hotel and get a tour. And then the design firm will talk about it. But also there is, if you're interested in and more interior design general, go to ASID, American Society for Interior Designers. That is a no-brainer, especially if you're into residential design. IDC, this interior design, or IID, interior design department. I want to say that IID. Oh, so shame on me. It's for commercial design. I'll have to look that up now. So it kind of depends on your specialty, but at the very minimum, NEWH encompasses all types of design, because when you think about hospitality, think about a casino. I used to design casinos. You've got offices in the back of the house, restaurants, salons, retail spaces, common spaces, suites. So you have like a little residential, you have offices, you have, retail, you have, everything, right?
Everything.
So hospitality is everything. Honestly, it's corporate, even if you like a model homes or whatever, so I would, start there and go to ASID. They also support students tremendously. And you probably have an ASID student club. And if not, you should start your branch of ASID student at Cal State Long Beach, because that's what we did. We had one and I was vice president and I co-vice president, and that was gratefully, that's how I got my job, right? I started going to ASID members on the phone book.
Awesome. Well, so another question came in, and I want to tie it to a question that I had. And my question was going to be, what does a typical day look like as an interior designer? And this person wrote in and they were like, and what is your favorite design project that you worked on and why? So could you talk a little bit about what it is to be a designer and maybe your favorite project that you worked on?
Yeah, actually, it's on my website. You'll see it's the winery in in Laguna Beach. It's so fabulous. It's so fabulous. I could flip it on, but a day in a designer is actually, a lot of people what they don't realize is that there's a lot of business attached to it, a lot of things that aren't as fun. Okay, so you are corresponding 24/7 with what I call being a fireman. Can we say fireman? I have to say fire person, whatever. I just say I put out fires 24/7. So the last project I did was in Bellingham. It was a big medical facility, right? And so it's 24/7. Maria, what do you want here? What do you want here? What's the spec here? We're out of that, and I'm just corresponding 24/7. But my favorite part is I'm a very strong conceptual designer. So my creative engine works in that element. I visualize the space, pulling the colors, starting to put together mood boards. So first thing that you do in the process, and we're like right now, I'm just getting ready to do a Del Webb project where it's all their common spaces. So, when you walk into a common space, there's the pool table, and then they have a banquet room, or, when you have an association kind of thing. So first thing that you do is, you have to meet that client. You have to do its programming and go through the design process. So extracting information. Extracting their information, their budget, their timelines, what they want, putting that together in a collective kind of a report. Okay. And based on this information, you need to kind of develop some kind of contract. And for me as an interior designer, the hardest thing, and I can tell you this is clear across the board, is how do you predict how long the time it's going to take to design something? Yeah. It's very difficult, right? Because you don't know, like, am I going to, are they going to agree to this? Is it going to take longer than I think? And this is why when I teach fundamentals of design, we go through this process. When you work the process, it usually works. And the more experience you have, the better you are at the process. So extracting information from the client, assessing how much time it's going to be, breaking your contract in phases, and attaching time and money to that. That's the first part. That's never fun. It's almost like torture because you really are predicting the future, right? Because you don't know. When someone says, I want you to design a restaurant, how do I know you're going to design it the way I like it? I say, because you're part of the process. I don't show you anything that you don't approve. By the time you get the design, you've seen everything by then. We don't just go, it's not like HGTV. Boom, walk in, here's your space. What if you don't like it, right? No, it's not like that. So working the design process, extracting information, taking that information, putting it in a contract, breaking it down. So each phase is, once that's approved, you go to the next. So it's this process of design. The first phase is my favorite, is conceptual schematic design. This is when I come up with the mood, the idea, the inspiration. Once they say, yeah, I like that picture. I like that. I like that. Ooh, yeah. Then you take that and you start making it, funneling it into real things. So I ultimately will do, this is my favorite thing. So ultimately, when I did Bellingham, ultimately, once we start approving, ultimately I come up with the final design for the medical facility. I show the materials. I give them rendered elevation so they know what they're getting. They know, and then they know how much the sconce costs, how much that chair costs. I put together the whole design. Then we implement this design into a set of working drawings. So they know exactly where those chairs are going. They know exactly where that mural is, how this is detailed. Okay. So once we go from conceptual design, which is getting this approved, we go into documents, construction documents, which is sets of like architecturals. And once we start doing all that AutoCAD work, and I am working with someone who's doing the drawing, so we work hand in hand. Then the next phase is purchasing. And then I start to purchase that chair with that fabric and this flooring and I start giving specifications to the GC so he can do his job. So that's kind of the day in a designer. So there's a lot of correspondence, there's a lot of creativity, but then there's a lot of business. There's a lot of purchase orders and invoicing and making sure that you're keeping track of your hours, meeting the client, flying to Washington. I had to fly to Washington twice and be there on install day. So this is this is a great project. It's in Bellingham. It's a cancer facility. But I'll do fun stuff where I might just do a conceptual design, like, sorry, but I grabbed it.
Yes, just be careful.
I know, right? Just be careful. This is a fun thing. This is a grooming for dog grooming. It's a conceptual dog grooming space. It was called Glamorous Groomers. Okay. It was going to be this Hollywood themed where the dogs walk out of the red carpet, and I had to do it, and I had little paw prints on top and these retro pictures of stars, with their pets, and we did and they were going to franchise it. So I also do like branding and inspirational, or what we call conceptual design for like new franchises. So like I might do something this great. So we had to develop this whole design before it finally got into a rendering, right? But how fun is that, right? So this is why design, it's endless, the amount of things you can do from a Hollywood themed dog thing to a medical facility for cancer, patients. So to restaurants. But my favorite is the winery in La Jolla. That was $5 million build out. We used backlit blue agate for the bar top that's backlit, and it's in a big rainbow shape. and it's inside outside concept. Then I got to do a secondary restaurant in the space, which was really industrial and fun and custom lighting. And I designed the logo there. So that's in La Jolla at the La Jolla Westfield Mall, right off of La Jolla Village Drive in Genesee. It's on my website. You guys could check it out. You won't miss it because it's got this crazy puddled, creative, soffits, and it's really fun and alive. So by far,
I am honestly number one. That's so much fun, and I love that you have those things that you can just pull out and show us. And
I can keep going.
And honestly, I'm kind of amazed that you have those things that you can pull out and show us. Because I would figure, at least from someone who's not necessarily in this industry, that most of what you would do is on in the digital, right? And on
so we start off in the digital, but they physically need a board to touch and see it. You don't know what that tile quite looks like until you actually get to taste and see. Like this board, believe it or not, you guys, this is a hexagon. Do you see this hexagon wood? Okay, someone needs to see that live, right? It's so spectacular. This tile is so amazing with this gold veining in it. And, and I had to do 2 boards with this tile right here. It's so stunning, so expensive and stunning. That they need to see this in person. They need to feel the wall covering and what the wood looks like. Digital doesn't always represent the truth until have you ever bought something and you go, it didn't look, I didn't think it'd be this color.
That wasn't the right color. Yeah.
Or I'll get a sample and I go, this looks nothing like the picture, because we know that on computers, depending on, what graphics they're using, so it could be different. So we do that digitally, but then we come and then put these together in a physical form so they can touch and see it. Plus, it helps when the GC, did we get the right material? They have something to compare it to, this is what it's supposed to look like, And when I order, I'm spending hundreds and thousands of dollars ordering these materials. I have to make sure that when they send me that sample, that it matches the real thing too. So you need physical stuff. So, but that is my strength, is all this conceptual design. And then a lot of times I hire, or like Angie was good at doing the AutoCAD, the working drawings. That's kind of really plugging away. And there's those people really strong, technical, or doing the 3-dimension rendering. I'm just so busy selling the job and managing it, making sure things are getting where they need to go and purchase, that I sell the job. I'm the face of my company. I connect with them on a creative level. We agree. I'm pretty fast at that. And then once I have it in, I can hand it to those who can plug in the details.
Gotcha. Well, and then, so my next question though is, being that I'm so glad that you had something to physically do, right? That's so important. Yeah. But no doubt, digital tools and programs are a huge part of the industry, what you do. How do you envision things like AI working into your industry, artificial intelligence? And do you see it already being used? And how do you think that might make its way into your space?
Yeah, no matter what, the initial design has to be formulated from a creator. You can't create anything without a creator, period, even AI. So they might think that, so they can't foresee the issues that could come up, the human error, because someone's got to build it as well, a human being, I would hope, right? But it is scary, because I'll tell you what, my son went in and we were talking about artwork. My mother's an artist. That's why all this crazy art's over. This is all her stuff. And, and she passed away. She was an artist. And you could go into an AI and say, I like the style of Renoir, but I want birds that are blue. It literally will formulate art for you. It studies thousands and thousands and thousands of different art styles, pulls it, and can put that together. And I said, that's very scary. But I have to tell you, I just did a 3-dimensional. I just took a class for SketchUp for myself. I'm constantly taking classes because if I don't use the skill, I lose it.
Sure.
And I tell you, the programs still require human finessing. They're not there yet. You can't just speak into it. If we could, actually, we'd probably be really happy because we'd save so much time. I don't know if it was going to fully, but I do know that technology is everything. BIM, building information modeling, is huge. Like your SketchUps, your AutoCADs, your Rhinos, your Revit, all these computer programs that help things three-dimensionally and help us visualize space. And you could, I mean, it's amazing what they can do. So they are somewhat cutting out some of the labor and the question marks of how the design is going to look. But what people don't understand is how much that really does take, how long it does take. I mean, it takes so much time that I said, you don't need this because you can't afford me to sit that long behind a computer. I don't know right now if AI can generate something on its own and read that client's mind. I imagine it probably could happen after a while, or we'll just all have the same generic thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, out the creativity.
Like you see Teslas everywhere. Will the world be just that same car? Like, you know, I see Minority Report and places like that, right? You know, that movie, sci-fi, everything's kind of the same. So it's like, that's sad because then you lose, you know, the creative part. But who knows? Yeah, AI is a scary thing, actually. I think it's going to destroy a lot of industries, quite frankly.
Gotcha.
Honestly. But ones that have to create, you know, yeah.
How has, and this is, I mean, I'm sure a huge question, but how has COVID impacted your industry? And do you see things really kind of getting back to normal? Or some of the changes that had to be made, are those things sticking around?
It's so sad because prior to COVID, I remember teaching and telling my students, you guys are so lucky. I mean, you are so lucky because honestly, the economy was booming. Hospitality was like on the rise in 2019 and right before 20. I mean, nobody could even, you couldn't even get a contractor. You couldn't get an architect. They were so busy. Everyone was busy. Things were booming. You know, our 401ks are going up. The interest rates are super low. You know what I mean? We're talking like 2%, and just, it was all working. And then that screeching halt on March 16th, I'll never forget the day, because I had to stop. I teach hand drafting. Can you imagine teaching hand drafting in person and having to go and have a little board? And I'd made all these demo videos how to draft. Okay, this is not computers, this is hand drafting. So that, okay, imagine I designed restaurants and hotels. That entire industry shut down.
Right.
Every project that was in the waterworks, screeching halt. I did not design one restaurant in 2020. In fact, it got so bad, my business partner had to physically move into a house that she owned in Hesperia because the house she was leasing, there was issues, but we could not generate the amount of restaurant design work. Who's going to open up a restaurant COVID?
Right.
In fact, we
right.
just finished the most darling a poke bowl. Oh my gosh, it's over in Reseda. And these guys have never owned a restaurant. It was so much fun. And literally, they were open a month. They're still around because of their social marketing, brilliant social marketing on Instagram. Poke Tomas, because I mean, brilliant, right? But had those guys not had that savviness, I saw so many of my restaurants go down. Like, do you know how heartbreaking it's like family to me?
Yeah.
The only thing I saw rise, which breaks my heart, is cancer facilities. That's what I started doing. Marie, can you do another cancer facility? I'm like, I'm sad that there's lots of chemo out there, a lot of radiation needing, but no one, you know, the restaurants are like, you know, and then it came to like, okay, well, we need help to get patio. Like, can you give me plexiglass? Or so like they might call to try to jimmy rig something outside. Like, I think of that, it sounds like a horror movie now. Remember, we're so happy to sit outside 12 feet away with it's just weird, right? So imagine that boost. That was a different kind of thing. So clients are spending tens of thousands of dollars on outdoor furniture, planks and plexi and sterilization. Then I had complications because the items I was selling were not holding up because they were spraying those chemicals on it that were eating up the tops of the tabletops. I stopped selling outdoor furniture because I couldn't guarantee it wasn't going to work because I didn't know what they were spraying on top. It's all alcohol based. Remember how we were sanitizing everything? Yeah. Do you know that when you put the sanitizer on you too much, it actually eats the face of your skin? So it eats, it's like acid. So it actually makes you more susceptible to germs over time. So imagine putting that chemical on a plastic resin, starts to eat through, then the tables weren't holding it. I'm telling you, it was not fun. Do I see it rebound? I kind of started seeing it rebound, and now it's starting to belly flop again because interest rates, food cost has gone up astronomical. Can you go anywhere for less than, like, for two people, less than $30? No way. You can't go in and out hardly. And it's so heartbreaking. Food cost is up sky high. And then labor, they keep raising the price that you have to pay your labor. And once gas, you know, the whole thing. People don't understand about gasoline or natural petroleum and products. Everything is made out of that. Your vinyl fabric, my chair I'm sitting in, this tabletop, laminate. So we think of maybe gas or gas car. No. Your computer you're staring at, there's so many components. The parts of your car is made out of petroleum products. So it's just like an explosion. So I always look at gas prices and I look at the economy because they go hand in hand. It affects not just some things, it affects everything. The plastic bottles, everything that I'm staring at from these cheap like readers have plastic in them. And those are all made of natural gas, petroleum products. People don't realize that. And so it affects every element, every price tag. And then pretty soon the people are just priced out. And restaurants are the most trickiest industry you can be in. If you're going to go to a risky business, open up a restaurant. That's good. I grew up in a restaurant. I was 12 years old and my dad owned a little chicken restaurant. And I used to sit there and bread chicken, 600 pieces of chicken a day. I'm 12 years old with my 11-year-old sister. So I grew up in the restaurant business. My dad used to manage hotels. I used to make hotel beds with him when I was 6 years old. And so I was just like totally, my whole life was geared towards being in hospitality. So anyway.
Well, as we are, moving on, right?
Yes.
And as somebody who has been in this industry and has lasted in this industry for so long, and someone who came out during of college and with your degree in such a time of uncertainty, what would be a piece of advice that you'd like to give to a 49er just starting out?
Well, this is what I say, is that I'll never forget Dr. Fake from my rendering class. He's probably still there at Cal State Long Beach, I don't know. But he used to say, because I was worried about that, because I knew what I was heading into. And he says, Maria, the cream always rises to the top. And I thought, okay. And so all I can say is be excellent and be willing to give something away. See, the idea of working hard and not getting paid back is something that we've kind of developed as this entitlement. But when you come in with a humble posture, willing to do kind of anything, willing to take that librarian job in a design firm, willing to stay after to maybe learn a program that you're not getting paid for. And this is what I'm telling you about the reward, the rewards, they don't come back void, because that's the person they're going to think of for the job. Do excellent in your internship. Be there on time. Be that person they can depend on. There's not enough dependable people. Let your word be gold. If you say you're going to do something, just do it. It's a simple thing. And then always look ways to give back in some sorts, whatever your passion is. Don't make your whole work life your passion. Do something else too that brings you joy, right? You know what? Go date, go dancing, go enjoy the walk at the beach, because you know what? Life is short. It can change like that, right? Don't take yourself too seriously, honestly. And everyone, honestly, is exchangeable. It's sad. I had to learn that the hard way. Like, they can't live without me. Oh, yes, they can. So what you want them to do is you want to be that person that they can't live without. You know what I'm saying? Like in your job force, and that when you leave, there's something that leaves with you, that joy, that spark, so you want to be that person. I always say, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And there it is. So go into a situation, say, how can I make this better?
Yeah, no.
You'll be creative. You'll figure it out. This next generation is so much smarter than me. They have so many ingenious ways to promote themselves on Instagram and, all that stuff. But sometimes we have to get out of that idea and really just start being a service-oriented type of a people, giving back. I look at, all the influencers and stuff. We can't all be that. what do they give back? Like, where's the fireman? Where's the you know what I mean? Where's the civil servants? It sounds humble, but it's really where the joy is connecting with other humans and giving your talent to them. So
That's all.
I say do it 100%. And if you don't love it, then don't do it. Honestly, it's like someone who takes your shift at work and complains the whole time. You had an option, dude. You didn't have to take my shift, but don't complain, right? So
well, that is great advice and
yeah.
a great way of looking at it, and you know, giving of yourself to
Yeah.
really not just get something back, but to just kind of be a part of something bigger, right?
You never know the doors that are going to open. I'm just like, you know, telling everybody about a scholarship and stuff, and all of a sudden I get offered, you know, like a teaching gig, or because of my passion at JBI when I was doing quick service restaurants. I loved it so much, and I stayed after to learn programs and did design manuals that nobody else would do. They thought I was crazy. When I left that company, because they wouldn't hire me back because I had a baby and I wanted to work only 4 days a week, I got a call from one of the salesmen there that went to the competitor and said, Maria, I love the way you treated my clients and everything. You were so awesome. Would you be willing to start your own business and I'll give you all the work you need? That's how I started my own business, because I went 110% full throttle in this other job, not getting paid for doing certain things. When I left, I was remembered by some of the salespeople that called me, and they were paying me double the amount and giving me all the work I needed. And that's how my company started. And I got to be home with my baby. So it's like I can literally write a script on how God, and I have faith in God, and I do trust God. And that's where a lot of my anxiety, just, you know, having a higher power that just directs my path. And I truly believe that too. Don't neglect your spiritual side, because you know what? This too shall pass. This world shall pass. So I have kingdom eyes. But anyway, that's it. So
Awesome.
I have to give a shout out to God. Thank you, Lord.
I love that. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for including me.
No, and this has been just truly a great chat. I mean, I think that there's so much that our students can take from this. And I as we're wrapping up, right, I tell everybody, you know, reach out to us if you have any questions. Our contact information's on the screen right now. But if you wanted to get in touch with Maria, how might somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to further this conversation?
Yeah, there's several ways. Go to my website, allgoodinteriors.com. There's a contact phone number. There's an email. You can also at Orange Coast College, you know, Allgood at OCC. .cccd.edu. You could find it on the website. I'm in the catalog, you know, under instructors, and also LinkedIn, Maria Allgood Interiors. You probably just kind of reach out to me. A lot of people to do that, and I just love to mentor people and you know, help them out. And who knows, share with me some of your skills. If you do great SketchUp or render, or you're great at AutoCAD, I often hire students and interns all the time. So I look forward. I hope you guys have. Don't be fearful for the future, right? You're going to walk in faith and you're going to conquer many things. So just go forward and be the best, be the solution, not the problem.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Maria. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone here. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And Maria, if you could just hang back while we say goodbye to everyone.
Sure. Thanks, Jenna, so much for reaching out. Take care.
Bye, everybody.